everyone. We're going to go ahead and get right into it like usual. Seated nice and tall, elongating through that spine. You can be standing too, just thinking of that length between the space of each vertebrae. We're going to chin tuck back for 10. Ready? And begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, let's maintain that length. We're going to do our head turns. There's 5 each direction alternating. Let's get ready. We're going to turn, bring it back to center, and then turn the other direction back to center. Turn. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. We're going to go into our warm up now. Okay. And we are going to start. We're just going to do 1 round through. Okay. It's going to be 40 seconds of work, 10 seconds of transition time. And we're going to start with our 4 count cherry picker, reaching out, middle, in, and then we're going to add that arm circle, okay, to get the shoulders warmed up too. Okay, seated, you're going to do the same thing seated. Your feet are going to be wide, reaching out, middle, in. So 40 seconds is going on the clock. Okay, let me find it. And here we go. Ready and begin. My feet are outside the width of my shoulders, reaching outwards, middle, in, and up. Choose your pace. If you're worried about getting dizzy, slow it down or stay in the chair. Okay. You're not forcing yourself to reach farther than your body wants to, but you should feel a nice stretch through the back of the legs and also through the shoulders when we reach up and around and back. Good. We have 15 more seconds here. And then we're going to go into high knees and hamstring curls. We're going to combine the 2. 2 and 1. So the next is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just shaking out the legs. Okay, let me show you seated here. Keep it going. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to tap it back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Loosen up the legs. Move it through the hip, knee, and ankle joint. Also the shoulder and elbow joint when we move our arms around here too. Okay. And time. Okay. Next, we are going to go into modified jumping jacks. Okay. So if over the head is no good, remember your options. You can always come back instead, okay? Seated, here we are. You pick. All right, I'm just gonna go to a regular modified here. We're gonna go into front kicks next. Putting these in our warm up because we will be doing these later in the routine. And I just want to give us a little practice so that when I call it out during the routine, you're like, aha, yes, we learned that in the warm up. Okay. All right, so we're going to start with front kicks. Okay, so we're just kick, 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 kick. Okay, if you know, you don't have to get it up higher than it wants to go. All right, we're just focusing on flicking at the knee. Okay, seated. I'm kind of at the edge of my chair here. Maybe slightly lean back a little bit to get a little more core activation. And we're just kicking up. Okay, don't be surprised if you find you need to slow it down. You start to feel a little fatigue. It's nice core work here too, okay? 3, 2, and 1, okay. Our next move, we have 2 more moves, okay? Our next move is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? Seated, it looks very similar. Okay, keep it going. About 20 seconds left on this one. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. 10 more seconds here. And then we have 1 more move. And time on this one. Whew, okay. Last one in our warm-up is we're going to put those 2 moves together. So we're going to go front kick, knee, knee. Front kick, other side, knee, knee. Front kick, knee, knee. Other side, front kick, or now other side, knee, knee, okay? Keep it going. We have about 20 seconds left. I'm just going to go to seated. So after every front kick, we change the leading leg for the knee. And this in particular is going to be the move that we're doing in our workout later on, okay? Right here. So remember this one here. Okay, and that is our warm-up, okay? So hopefully you're feeling that body temperature elevated a little bit, okay? Whew. Getting ready for the work to begin. We are going to do 45-15, 6 exercises, 2 rounds through, and then another 45-15, 6 exercises, 2 rounds through, and then 1 time all together. So it's 3 12-minute blocks, okay? And there's 12 exercises. We're just kind of splitting it up a little bit here. And I kept things similar. Last week, I was chaperoning a field trip for my daughter. My daughter's finished 8th grade. They went to an amusement park and she asked if I could go with. So that's where I was at last week. So I missed you guys, but thanks for coming back this week. So, okay, 45-15. Our first exercise is going to be our bent elbow fly, okay, into an overhead press, okay? Now, and this looks the same if you're going to be seated, okay? If overhead is too tricky for your shoulder, you're going to pull it back, internal, external together, okay? All right, so you're going to pick one of those 2 options. We're going to grab our weights or water bottles or our imaginary weights, okay? Let's get ready in 3, 2, and 1. Our first exercise. If you're standing with me, I'm just making sure that I'm keeping my core tight by squeezing my glutes and keeping my pelvis tucked. That's going to ensure that my core is activated. I'm not arching too much through my lower back. If you find that this becomes too taxing overhead, even if you don't have limitation and you want to go ahead and add some of these in instead, you could always do that, okay? You can sit down for this one as well. It looks exactly the same from the seated position. We're working the front, the back, and the middle of the shoulder with this exercise. Posture. 2 and 1. Okay, that's exercise 1. Our next exercise is our hinge and row. So my feet are right underneath my hips, whether I'm seated or standing, okay? And we're gonna hinge forward, soft knee, hips go back, neutral spine, row it, and then squeeze the glutes up, okay? So hinge, row, squeeze. Nothing new here. I'll do a couple seated. Do it from the side today. Keep it down. Hinge. Modified jumping jacks are next. We have 10 more seconds here. And time. Okay. Putting our weights aside, we're going to do Modified jumping jacks, just like in our warm up. Remember, if this doesn't feel good for the shoulder, try coming back instead, okay? Here we go, and if you're advanced, you might be doing regular jumping jacks. So here's our seated variety. Our standing looks the same, we're just standing. It's important to train in all different directions, so just not forward and back, rotation, side to side. Live in the 3D, have to train that way too. Ooh. We're going into bicep curls with some external rotation next. 5 more seconds here. Boy. 2 and 1. Okay. Remember, you can always stop early or start late if you need to. Okay. We're going back to our weight. All right. We're going to do a half bicep curl. My elbows are close to the rib cage. We're going to pull it out and then bring it back in and down. Halfway up, out, in, down. Okay. We're combining a bicep curl and a no money drill together, which is for the front of the arm, the biceps, and the shoulders and shoulder health. You're standing, you're thinking of keeping those glutes engaged, okay, and that pelvis tucked, again, to keep that core in nice, strong position there. Next, we're gonna work on the back of the arm. We're going to do tricep kickbacks with the step back. 2 and 1. Okay, so we just worked this part of the arm and in here and then back here. Now we're going to work the back of the arm, and we're also going to add a tap back, tap back, tap back. Okay? Seated. I'm closer to the edge of my chair so I can have some space. I'm going to tap it. Really think of those triceps when you're extended long here. And adding the tap backs adds this layer of complexity to the movement. It helps us focus on control and balance. We have 10 more seconds here. And then we have one more exercise before we go back to the very top. 2 and 1. Okay. Woo. Our last one is going to be a sumo squat with an alternating front raise. So you're going to have a little bit of an isometric hold with this. Heels are outside the shoulders. Okay. We're going to sink it down into our sumo. Front, front, drive it up. Okay, so you're kind of hanging out here out sumo for a moment together. Okay, so keep that up here. The seated is going to be slightly different. We're going to do lateral, lateral, front raise, okay? Lateral. So this is our seated variety right here. A little less intense in our standing, but still targeting all the same muscle groups. After this, we're going to go back to the top, starting with that bent elbow fly to overhead press, or you can do the internal and external rotation, okay? So top of round 2 here. Let's get ready. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, I'm standing so my glutes are engaged. I'm tucking my pelvis so that it keeps my core engaged. If overhead hurts or becomes tiresome, you're going to switch to this right here. Boom, boom. You can even do a combo. I think last time I was here, I enjoyed doing a little bit of both. Ten more seconds of these. 3, 2, and time on those. Okay. Next, we're going back to our hinge and row. Okay, so feet are underneath our hips, toes are facing forward, right? We push those hips back, right? And that puts us in our position to row. We squeeze the glutes to come back up, okay? Seated or standing. Nice neutral spine. Ten more seconds here, and then we're back to jumping jacks. Two, and time, okay? So either seated or standing jumping jacks. You can always take those arms this way if overhead is a nuisance to your shoulders, okay? Modified or regular, you pick. You can also, remember, we have some varieties with the modified too. I can keep my foot flexed and lift it up, which I think is a little bit harder than this tap, okay? Kind of digs into your side glute a little bit more, and you also feel a little more of a stretch through the inner thigh. You just pick what works for you. Slow it down, take a break if you need to. I find jumping jacks to be very tiresome. 2 and 1, okay. Back to our bicep, our half bicep curl right here with the external and internal rotation, okay. So again, if you're standing here, I want to make sure I'm scooping and tucking under, okay? Make sure we're not swaying too much through here, okay? Halfway up, out, in, down. Excellent. We have 10 more seconds here. Then we're going to our tricep kickbacks with a step back. 2 and 1. Okay. All right. So remember, next is the opposite side of the arm now, the back side. All right, ready? And begin. If you're doing the standing variation instead of the seated, you should notice that that front foot is probably holding about 80% of your weight as the back foot is holding about 20%, right? It's just there to kind of stabilize and balance you as you're moving your elbows to target those triceps. I'm really thinking about the squeezing of the muscle, the engagement when my arms are extended long. We've got 5 more seconds here, then we're going to sumo squat to alternating front raise. Okay, so last exercise in this circuit, and then we're going to break and go on to our next set of 6 exercises. My heels are outside the width of my shoulder from the standing variation here, okay? My knuckles are facing forward. I'm gonna sink it down, front raise, drive through my heels and squeeze my glutes. Down. So we're increasing the time under tension in the lower body by doing that front raise while we're in that lowered position. Which means the muscles are working just a little bit harder because we're slowing it down and holding it during the difficult part of the point of the exercise. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, guys, take a rest, take a drink. That was our first 6 exercises. We will go through those again after we do 2 rounds of the second set of exercises, okay? So, grapevine. I said we'd stick with the grapevine for a while because it's a fun one. Before we start, I just want to kind of refresh because it's been, you know, a couple weeks here. So you have 2 options. You can do step together, step, clap, step together, step, clap. Okay, see my feet are just right next to each other, back and forth. Okay, you can stay right there and your count's going to be the same as the grapevine. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, clap, 1, 2, 3, clap. Now, if you want a grapevine, remember it's step, back, step, clap, step, back, step, clap. And so instead of bringing that foot right next to the other, you're just bringing it behind a little bit before you bring the other foot out again and then clap. And it's still 1, 2, 3, clap. 1, 2, 3, clap. Okay, so that's our first one. All right, so we're gonna get ready to grapevine. And for our seated variation, we're just gonna do 3 lateral taps and 3 lateral taps, okay? On either side, all right? So I'm not gonna do the seated variation for that the whole time because I think that's pretty, 3 and then 3 on the other side. It's pretty easy to follow along. I will do the grapevine now, okay? So let's get ready. Second block, here we go. Grapevine or 1 step together, okay? Ready and begin. So move at your own pace. Have fun with it. It's nice to throw a fun one in to your mix, right? You should feel challenged with your exercise, but you should also have moments of it like where you enjoy it and find fun. I seem to find enjoyment in my lateral moves. I love, I don't know, they just feel fun. Sweep and shoot, lateral march, grapevine. I love all those. 3, 2, and time. Okay. Next, we are going to our warm-up move. Okay. So front kick, knee, knee. Front kick, other side, knee, knee. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to do seated. I'm a little bit more on the edge of my chair, but it's essentially the same. Core work. I chant it in my head. All right, the whole time I'm like front kick, knee, knee, right? That helps me stay in sequence. And time, good. All right, next one, basic squat, sit squat, okay? So you can hold a weight here if you'd like. You can hold weights right here. You can do this body weight, okay? It is gonna be a little bit higher rep, okay? Feet are about shoulder width apart. Make sure those knees don't cave in as you sit down. Drive through the heels to stand up, okay? So here is your level, or if you're staying seated, give me leg extensions. And I really want you to think of when that foot is flexed and long, let's be squeezing right through that quadricep, okay? So if you're seated, flex the foot and then squeeze, muscle work, okay? Remember, the timer is just a guide. So I'm always looking for quality repetition over just a whole bunch of so-so repetitions, okay? Quality trumps a lot of, you know, so-so reps, okay? All right, next one is our backstroke rotation, okay? So working on some more core work here. All right, my hips are staying forward. I'm doing a backstroke. I'm trying to follow my hand with my gaze. I'm not forcing anything. Working on upper back mobility and obliques, okay? I'm keeping my glutes engaged. This looks the same seated here. List 3, 2, and 1. Okay, next we have kick back and pull back. Kick back and pull back. Okay, so standing, we're trying to get that heel of the foot up towards the glute. Okay, we're getting our arms above. We're getting nice. Think about how you're getting this stretch right when you're here, how you're getting a stretch through the front of your shoulders here as you're tightening up the back side with both of these upper and lower body exercises, okay? Keep it going. I'm closer to the edge of my seat for the seated variety, so I have room to tap my foot back. If your arms or legs get tired halfway through, you just need to shake it out for a second, okay? Do so, okay? 2 and 1. Okay. Kick back and pull back. All right, last one here. We're going to do an uppercut and a tap. Okay. So like you're punching upwards, punch up, punch up, punch up. Okay. Punch up, punch up. Seated, slightly different. Okay. There's not as much. There's no pivot on the seated variation. We're going back to the top after this, and we start with grapevine. Woo. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Back to the grapevine here, okay? Or step together, step, clap, okay? Whichever works better for you. All right. Let's get ready. And 3, 2, and 1. So step back, step back. Remember, if you're seated, you're just doing 3 lateral taps on one side before you switch and do 3 lateral taps on the other. So we're still working in that lateral direction. Ten more seconds. Two. And time. Okay. Alternating front kick, knee, knee is next. Okay. And then we're front kick, other 2 knees. Okay. Looks the same seated. Let's get ready and begin. Front kick, front kick. Don't force your leg up higher than it wants to go. So come 1, 2. Do it at a pace that's good for you. You can slow it down or speed it up as need be. See that? You need to think about what's best for you, your individual body and needs. And time. Okay, so next one is our squats. Okay, it's optional weight here. You can do these body weight, or you're going to do your alternating leg extensions. Feet are about shoulder width apart. All right, we're going to sit it down, drive and squeeze up. All right. What am I pressing into the floor? My heels, right? When I press the heels in, and it helps me activate and squeeze when I'm at the top end. Speed it up or slow it down depending on your ability. Five more seconds here. 2, and 1. Okay. Get your drinks as you need them. Going into our backstroke rotations next. Okay, so seated or standing. If I'm standing, my feet are about shoulder width apart. I'm keeping my hips forward. I'm thinking about disassociating. I'm trying to just move through here, right? See how my hips are staying forward? It's okay if there's a little tilt, but it helps train the upper back and your mobility. Ten more seconds here. Then we're going to go to alternating front kick to 2. Kick back to pull back. Can we just do that one? Kick back to pull back, okay? So we're right here next, seated or standing. All right, in 3, 2, 1, here we go. We're going into our alternating uppercuts with that lateral tap. Next. Just 10 more seconds here. And time, okay. Last one, remember it's up. I'm punching upwards, like I'm punching into the ceiling. Like there's a pillow I'm punching into above. And now I get the pivot. You see, if you're standing with me now, I'm doing the pivot versus those backstroke rotations. Seated, you don't have the pivot, but that's okay. You can still tap it out. We're going to break after this and then put all 12 exercises together for one more round. This will be 40 minutes of work, 41 minutes of work with the warm up. Okay. 3, 2, and 1. Okay. Woo. All right, recover. Okay, you should feel your heart rate up a little bit here. You might be feeling a little warm. Get a drink. Okay. We're gonna go all the way to the top again. Putting all 12 exercises together. Okay. And our first one here, core engaged, pull back, overhead press. Again, your alternative is right here. Okay. You can do this with or without weight. All right. Let's get our drink and get ready. All the way back to the top. In 3, 2, and 1. Here we go. Remember, if you're standing with me, I'm keeping my glutes engaged and pelvis tucked because I don't want that excessive arching in the lower back. If you're feeling a lot of arching in the lower back, it's definitely, and you can't, you feel like you can't fix it while you're standing, I would take it to the seated variation. Okay, that's naturally going to help take the lower back out of it a little bit. Just 10 more seconds here. Then we're going to go to our hinge and bend over row combo. 2 and 1. Woo, okay. Feet are hip width apart, toes are forward, okay? We're either seated or standing. We're gonna get ready. If we're standing, we're pushing the hips back, keeping a neutral spine. Ready, and begin. I push the hips back. Looks like you can balance a tray on my back, okay? Even if you're not like all the way down, like parallel to the floor, say you're right here, that's fine. We just wanna look for that nice, we don't want roundness through the back. We wanna try to keep the spine elongated. Like if I were gonna put a yardstick on my back, I would want it to, the 3 points I would want the yardstick to touch on my back would be at my tailbone, the back of my shoulder blades, like in between my shoulder blades, and the top of my head, okay? You want all 3 of those points to touch on the yardstick. 2 and 1. Okay, weights can come aside. Jumping jacks, modify, or seal jacks. And if you're advanced, you can give me regular here, okay? You can do these both seated, all right? Whether you choose the jumping or the seal, okay? And remember, you can either, if you're standing here, flex the foot or tap the foot. I definitely think the flexed foot is a little harder. I would say it's an in-between of the tapping of the foot here and a regular jumping jack. It's like, if you're not quite at regular jumping jacks, but you think you're past these tapping ones, then maybe you want to try the flex foot. Whew, 5 more seconds. 3, 2, and 1. You tell by my breath how hard they are for me? Okay, that's my hard one there. All right, bicep curls with external rotation, seated or standing. All right, we're gonna come halfway up, keep the elbows close to the rib cage, come out, in, and down, okay? So we're working the bicep curl to here. Now we're working the front and the back of the shoulder when we do this. Think about the ball and socket joint that your shoulder is, okay? And all of those little connective tissues and muscles, all right, that help make it move, and that's 360 spherical way that it does, okay? Ten more seconds here. Then we're gonna go to our tricep kickback with that alternating tap back. And time, okay. Now we're gonna work on the back, okay? Seated or standing. Deep breath, let's get ready. In 3, 2, and 1. We increase the complexity of this movement by doing the tap backs, makes us focus on the coordination of the movement, good for our cognitive health. And we've got about 80% of our weight on that front leg, okay? So you're working on stabilization here as well. 3, 2, and time, okay? The last one for the first half, and then we're gonna go right into the second, is our sumo squat. So heels outside the width of your shoulder, toes are out, 2 alternating front raise. Okay, or you're gonna give me an alternating lateral tap to all front raise if you're seated. So sumo, front raise, drive it up. Okay, I'm gonna show you from the side. What I love about the sumo squat is that if your glutes are weak, you may notice that your knees have a tendency to cave inwards when you're doing squat type movements. That's an indicator of weak glutes. With the sumo squat, it helps train to keep your knees outwards where they should be. You know, they shouldn't cave in. So I really like adding this in to my training sessions to make sure I, you know, understand that my knees shouldn't be caving in forward. Okay, next, grapevine. We're 1, 2, 3, clap, okay? Ready? Whew, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Have fun with it. Try to find your own rhythm. Put a song in your head, pretend you're dancing to it. Next, we're going to do our alternating front kick to 2 knee raises. Two and time. Okay. So remember, front kick, the knee. Okay, this is engaging a lot of core muscles here. Okay, looks similar. It looks basically the same seated. Remember? Okay, here we go. Front kick. Just be mindful. You don't want to try to fling your foot so far out that you feel like you're going to fall backwards or anything like that. We're working within our ability. Even if that kick is right here, that's okay, right? Keep it low then. Focus on shifting weight on one side to the other, while also focused on that pattern. And time. Okay. Back to sit squats, okay? So here's an example where if your glutes are really weak, you may notice more optional weight here, okay? Your knees caving in because our feet aren't as wide. They're about shoulder width now, right? But I want to make sure as I'm like coming up, like my knees don't do this, right? If this is happening, that means we're a little weak through here. And you've got to really tell yourself, okay, those knees have to stay this way, right? Remember, if this is too much, your seated variation is this alternating leg extensions. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, all done with those. Okay, we have kick back and pull back now. Okay, so working the back side of the body right here while we're getting a stretch through the front and the front. Okay, ready and begin. Looks similar when we're seated. We're just on the edge of our chair. Just one more exercise after this. We have our uppercuts. Or wait, did I miss one? Backstroke, rotations. We'll do that one next, okay? I missed one. Sorry, guys. Ooh, 5 more seconds here. 2 and 1. Okay. We're gonna, I missed these right here. So we're gonna add those in. Okay, remember, we're trying to keep the hips forward. If you find you're really having a difficult time keeping your hips forward, sit down. It'll force you to keep your hips forward, right? Because you're bent at the hip and the knee there. So if you're like, oh man, I keep on doing this and my hip goes back, go ahead and just sit it down. You'll see the difference. We're past halfway on this one. And then our final exercise is those uppercuts with our pivot. Not so much of a pivot when we're seated, but that's okay. 3, 2, and 1, okay? So that we were trying to keep our hips forward where we were trying not to rotate through them. Now we are going to rotate through them, okay? All right, you see the difference? Let's get ready. In 3, 2, and 1. Last exercise. Like I have 2 pillows. I'm trying to punch overhead. Whew, halfway. We're done after this, guys. The 41-minute workout we did today, including our warm-up. Ten more seconds. We got this. 3, 2, and time. All right, nice work, guys. Whew. Starts to build up after a while. I feel that towards the end there. Whew. Okay, so take a minute to recover. We're just going to do some stretches. Okay. If you can, oops, if you can, do your standing variation. Let's start with our forward fold over the back of the chair here. Okay, so I'm trying to make like a 90-degree bend through the hips. My knees are soft. Okay, I'm not locking them out. Okay, and I'm trying to feel the stretch through here. Okay, and through the back of my legs. Okay. And if this is no good, then you can come into kind of a seated towards the edge of my chair. I'm kind of trying to lengthen up through my arms here. Okay, and you can even, if you can kind of still bend in the knee, but you can kind of bring the feet forward, almost like you're creating this V shape through your body. Okay. Good. All right. When we're done that, seated or standing, let's just go ahead and flex and point through the ankle. Pick a side. Give me about 5 or 6 flexing points, and then you're going to circle in one direction for 5 or 6, and then the other direction for 5 or 6. And let's do the same thing on the other side. Flex and point. And that circles each direction. Good. Let's go ahead and stretch out the side of our neck and our upper trap here by gently kind of reaching and lengthening through the elongated arm and just very gently pulling and breathing through it. It shouldn't take much pressure applied through the stretching and pulling to feel this area kind of stretch out. And then bring it back to center and do the same thing other side. Good. And back to center. All right, let's take our palms, bring them onto the small of our back here. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and pretend like I can get my elbows to touch each other, which they won't. Maybe if you're contortionist. And I'm going to lift my heart to the ceiling, okay? Remember, I say my heart because it's really, that's where you're kind of like trying to stretch through, is that chest area. All right, so you should feel this through your chest, the front of your shoulders, okay? The space between right here, and then also through here, right? Because your palms are kind of like pressed into your back. And it's not about lifting your head up to the ceiling because that could be painful for your neck. It's more about lifting your heart up. Good. And relax, okay? We're going to go into a cross body stretch for the shoulder now. Okay, so I'm trying to keep my elbow down. I'm not trying to shrug up here. I'm trying to pull it down and over, all right? And you may feel stretched through the front here. And I'm also thinking about that space in between my spine and my scapula. that lengthening through the back there as well. Okay, same thing other side. Remember, down and over, okay? We don't want to be scrunched up through the neck, okay? Excellent. All right, let's release that. All right, one more stretch. We're going to do a lateral bend, okay? So you can just kind of reach up and over like where the wall and ceiling meet, okay? So again, this is more about lifting up first and then leaning into it versus, let me see how far I can lateral bend over, right? We want this up and over. Feeling that length and that stretch in the whole side body here. And release. Same thing other side. Up and over. Stretching our back muscles underneath the shoulder here. And release. And then let's go ahead and we're going to inhale. Palms together. Exhale. Hands to heart. One more time. Big inhale. A big exhale.